Hey everyone, welcome to Millennium Computers online 5-minute tutorial series. Today's course is going to answer the question, how do I organize my dashboard? Now, if you've been following along on the newer content in the FAST training videos, you know there has been a ton of really cool enhancements to FAST graphing and also to the dashboarding functionality. So today's course is going to cover one of those features in a little more detail. We're going to take a look at how to organize or customize the look and feel of my dashboard. Now, keep in mind, dashboards can either be personal, in which case I've created it and only I can see and edit it, or I could also create, if I have the correct roles, what is known as group dashboards for sharing. We're going to take a look at this from the perspective of managing my own personal dashboards and organizing those however I would like to see and use them. So first thing, I have selected one of my dashboards and I'm working right now in Fast Finance Reporting, but keep in mind this is a completely neutral feature and can be used in any application exactly the same way. My dashboard is called My Daily Dashboard, and you'll notice the title and the description as well. Now, to make any changes here, first thing I would do is click Edit Design. This brings me into what's known as the edit mode. Now on this particular dashboard, let's take a quick look here. I've got a handful of charts and graphs. I've also got a grid down here, and there's a couple different things I can do to organize or customize this. First thing is there's a button right here, and this is a resize button. Now it allows me to do one of two things. One, if I click it once, it will shrink the graph horizontally to half the space of the dashboard. This would be a great tool if I'm using a chart or graph that doesn't really need the full real estate horizontally. Now this one looks a bit scrunched when I do that, so I'm actually going to click that button again, and it's now going to expand horizontally and fill the whole space. I think that looks much better actually. Next thing we can do is we can actually move charts and graphs around if we want to. So if I'd like to actually move this guy up here, we can just drag and drop and place those anywhere we'd like. And of course, as a reminder, to add additional graphs to this dashboard, you just simply grab it from the left-hand pane and drag and drop it onto the dashboard. Next thing we can do is we can just manually resize these graphs. So if I don't want to have this an exact half screen, I can just hover my cursor over the boundary and drag it in a little ways. This allows me to have a lot more control over the exact size of each graph on the dashboard. Now, one of the other lesser known features is that I can actually turn off specific criteria on each graph within the dashboard at this moment in time. Notice this top graph, this pie chart, has a lot of stuff happening. So if I hover over any of these segments, remember this is my shortcut to allow me to drill down to the detail within that piece of the pie. But maybe there's a category here that is something I don't really want to see right now, and I'd like to pop this graph out, but eliminate one or more of the categories. But I don't want to actually change the base pin report to change this forever. I just want to take a look at the graph with one or more categories suppressed. I'm going to go ahead and click Meeting Expense, and I'm also going to click on Events, and I'm also going to click on Audio Conferencing. And notice that every time I click on one of these little boxes, the graph changes just a little. It's going to change more drastically depending on the category and how much space that particular segment is taking up. To turn them back on, just re-click them, or I can use the refresh button to refresh this graph on the dashboard. Now keep in mind, what we're doing here is applying essentially a column level filter to include or exclude specific elements. However, we're not affecting the base pin report. To do that, I would actually have to run the report and make edits at the report level. This is just simply a way for me to review the detail differently, and I can also then choose to pop out the graph and review it on a larger scale. To do that, just click the pop-out button. This gives me a full screen display that I can take a look at if I need to. And when you're done, just close it using the X. The other thing I can do, of course, is edit my theme. Now again, institutionally, there is one theme that all of your dashboards are going to contain as a default. But one thing about FAST that I think you know by now is you're never stuck with those defaults. If I click on my Themes button, I have all the various themes that have been added to my institution. These are just the basics, but your institution may have added some of their own. I might change it to Millennium Light, or let me check out what the fall colors look like. Once you've made your selection, click the View button to exit the edit mode, And you can now review the changes you've made. And if you want to, you can dive right back in by clicking Edit Design. Or if you're finished with this dashboard, you can move on to another. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you for the next tutorial.